Hey guys, welcome back to Anime Zerro. My name's Jordan Jennings. This is where I talk about weird news, anime, and the stuff that you say. Today I'll be having a look at Magi the Labyrinth, just as Season 2 kicks off. Now I'm going to be reviewing this one properly because it's a big one and it's got a story that runs deeper than the psychological issues of an alien rape victim. This anime comes from A1 Pictures, who you might know from Fairy Tail, Blue Exorcist, Sword Art Online, or Aremo. The original story was written by Shinobu Ohtaka, who was responsible for Sumamomo Momomo. The series composition and screenplay was done by Hiroyuki Yoshino, who is notable for his works on Excel World, Guilty Crown, and Vampire Bund. Which basically translates to the anime being well written and fluid, and also being as cold and dark as it is lighthearted and fun. And the characters are really enjoyable too, with a lot of the inspiration coming from 1001 Nights, which is a collection of folktales and stories coming from the West and South Asia compiled in Arabic during the Islamic Golden Age. Anyway, the story follows three main characters: Aladdin, who was a small boy that was raised by a jinn; Ali Baba, a young merchant's assistant who dreams of clearing a dungeon; and Morgiana, who's a descendant of the legendary warrior race, the Finales, a super strong and red-headed girl who's become kind of emotionless and unfriendly due to her life as being a slave, but kind of opens up to Aladdin and Ali Baba after they save her life. Aladdin and Ali Baba. Fuck, I need to shorten that somehow. What about Blue and Blonde? No, that doesn't really work, does it? Baba and Din? Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Oh fuck, wait, I got it. Ali and Allah. Wait, can I do that? No? Ah. Alright, Baba and Din it is. But before we go on, I've got to throw a few concepts, characters, and facts your way. The dungeons, not the rape and torture kind, but more akin to video game dungeons, where you fight your way through hordes of enemies while solving puzzles and avoiding traps before defeating the boss and claiming your prize at the end. The Jinn are the giant blue race of genie creatures we mentioned before, and each one has their own unique powers and abilities. After clearing a dungeon, a person can claim not only the riches inside, but the power of the Jinn as well, which usually binds itself to a metal vessel. Something the user is accustomed to, like a ring or a weapon. Ugo, the Jinn that seemingly raised Aladdin, while not being actually contracted to Aladdin, he's still his friend and will protect him at any cost. Rook, the magical essence at the center of the series, and depending on whether or not you're good or evil, among other factors, it'll be black or gold. Magoi, concentrated rook that's able to be used for powerful magical attacks. Everybody has it inside their body, but not all are able to harness it. Magic. There are those that can use magic using the Magoi inside their own bodies, usually being a dungeon clearer with a metal vessel, a mage, or a person with a household vessel. Magi, a powerful class of magician, also described as being loved by the rook in the center of the story. They also have the abilities to materialize Jinn into the world, create powerful magic attacks out of nothing but pure rook, and can raise and seal dungeons whenever they want to. Aladdin is a very inexperienced one of these and knows next to nothing about himself or what he's capable of. Judal, a much more experienced Magi and Aladdin's polar opposite who is loved by the dark rook. The role of the Magi over the years has been to choose a potential king and to guide and protect them on their road to greatness. Solomon, the first king chosen by a Magi and the creator of all Jinn and the world that the story takes place in. And finally Sinbad, the legendary dungeon capturer and master of 7 Jinn, who has set himself the goal of helping Baba and Din take down the mysterious organization Al-Thaman, who plans to summon a god and destroy the world. Focusing a lot on politics and fighting, this anime can be seriously entertaining, with a lot of those anime moments we all know and love to break up the dark story. No, I love Magi though, especially Aladdin. It's like a 10-year-old voiced by a 6-year-old with the sexual habits of a 20-year-old and the nostalgic wisdom of an 80-year-old shaman who thinks he's a child. Like the first time Baba meets Din and he's munging on some watermelons, or later on when they're hanging out and he's munging on some flesh melons. The only thing I can complain about though is it takes so fucking long for Ali Baba to get motivated though. You know, the whole building of resolve and confidence thing that's been done a million times before and is about as drawn out as the torturistic interrogation of a masochist. And as I said before too, there's a lot of politics involved, example being a coup that leads to the toppling of a monarchy, alliances between nations being formed, and there's many dark concepts explored too, such as slavery, prostitution, disease, and poverty. Seriously, watch this shit. It gets dark right about here. Magi is well written and fluid, with a lot of backstory and depth to the point where you know what's going on at all times, as long as you're semi-paying attention. But don't stop altogether though, otherwise you'll completely lose your place in the story. The beginning of the story is told in a chronicalized format with characters meeting and then separating, with each going on a journey and learning lessons tailored to their current problems in life, with stories that explain pieces of their respective origins, with all of them reuniting for the end of the arc in the massive battle. So the story starts off with Aladdin asking Ugo, "Who am I?" Ugo says he's not at liberty to discuss that and instead greets Aladdin as his king and venerable Magi. He then offers Aladdin one wish and tempts him with ideas of power, riches, and eternal life, but before he can answer, the story pans forward in time to Ali Baba, who was working for a local vendor at the time, when he finds Aladdin chowing down on his boss's inventory. They kinda just go at it together from there. Then they meet the slave girl Morgiana, who Din takes a liking to. Anyway, some stuff goes down and the concept of slavery is described to a child for the first time. Then they set off on a caravan journey for Ali Baba's boss. It gets attacked by a giant plant monster. Slave girl tries to save smaller slave girl and gets swallowed. Baba and Din jump in to save the day. Then they flee the scene on Aladdin's magic carpet, leaving his boss and the slave girl behind. Later that night, Ali Baba talks about wanting to capture a dungeon and explains what one is to Aladdin. He decides he'll join him as he has a quest to find more metal vessels for his friend Ugo, the giant blue Jinn. Anyway, they head to the dungeon, they cut through some monsters, Kid summons his Jinn, Kid passes out, dungeon gets crashed by the classically over-entitled Dick character. One of his minions happens to be the slave girl from before and a giant mongoloid named Goltus. Anyway, they fight within themselves for a bit, with the end result being that Baba and Din capture the dungeon. Baba gains a Jin power and a few sacks of gold. Then they all escape together after Goltus has a mongoloid with morals moment and tells Morgiana that she doesn't have to live with this, cuts her chains and carries the owner into the collapsing dungeon. And that's just the first 2 episodes. After here we get some details about the other nations out of the way. Din meets back up with Morgiana, and they set off on their way to see Baba again. What the fuck was that? Anyway, they run into this fucking creepy naked guy in the middle of the street, which they later find out is the legendary Sinbad, whose title gets changed more than the sheets on the set of a porno. And the story evolves quickly from here, into an action-packed enjoyable ride with tons of those funny moments to enjoy, with subplots that are multiple and deep. To keep the watcher entertained, fuck, God, how fucking annoying is this shit? God damn it, stop it! They really did a great job on the character development with this one though, with an Avatar The Last Airbender learning the rope styling of power growth, and other elements like loss of identity, mental conditioning, childhood trauma, underdog rising to power, slave freedom scenarios that play their roles to affect the way the characters grow and evolve. God, that's annoying. No more of that. Alright, you hear me? No. No more. And by the end, it's no surprise that you really start to care for the characters and you start to think that no wonder it's as popular as it is. It has a classical style of animation that reminds you of everything from Dragon Ball to Full Metal Alchemist and even Avatar. When it's competing with modern titles like Attack on Titan, Gargantua, or Valvrave, it's not really amazing, but I'm not in any way saying that it's bad either. It's still nicely animated and I really enjoyed it. Some parts just made you long for a little bit more detail, that's all. But that being said, it looks really good when it needs to, with a lot of scenes really fitting the style of the anime well. Moving on to the audio, you'll rarely find me complain about Japanese audio, and this is no exception, with a great cast on this one. With the talents of Haruka Tomatsu, Toshiyuki Morikawa, and the ever so fine Kaori Ishihara, and many more talented voice actors that I'm sure will come up in reviews in the future. I'll rate this anime at about an 8.5, with it losing points for Baba taking so long to grow a pair. I mean, come on, eat a teaspoon of concrete and harden the fuck up, son. And if you're wondering about future seasons, Season 2 just started the other day. I don't think I'd be alone or early to say that Magi's going to be around for a long time to come yet. If you haven't watched Season 1 yet, I suggest you do, because there's no real point in watching Season 2 if you haven't yet. Thanks for watching this episode of Anime Zerro. If you like this video or enjoy anime in general, like and subscribe, or head on over to my channel for more.